Hello, beautiful, and welcome to your yoga practice. Today is all about inner strength, which comes to us in many different forms. Mostly, we're going to be focusing on our Manipura, or our navel center chakra, which is believed to be the center of our willpower, of our strength, of our confidence. So let's really build that inner strength from the inside out. For today's practice, we will need a block. Now, if you don't have a yoga block at home, no worries. You can actually use a small pillow or even a towel that you roll up and put rubber bands around. So without further ado, let's go ahead and grab our mats and let's start to flow. So let's go ahead and begin by coming onto our mats. We're going to need a couple of blocks for today's practice, so make sure that they're nearby. If you don't have blocks, then you can use like a small little pillow would work really well, or even a rolled towel, just something with a little bit of compression to it, but ideally at some point, yoga blocks are a great tool to have, so if we could get some of those into our practice, that would be great. All right, let's go ahead and come into a lying down position. And we're going to go ahead and allow our feet to come together and our legs are going to open up wide here. So this is Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly pose. And in fact, if this is a little tight on your hips, this is a great time, and I'll go ahead and just show you real quick of when we can start implementing those blocks. So you can put them underneath your knees, figuring out where needs to go for you to your own degree. Maybe that's just opening up a little bit so it's just not such an intense stretch right out the gate. So whatever feels right for you. Again, you can see that pillows would just work just as well here. But let's go ahead and place one hand on our tummy and one hand on our heart. And today's practice is all about inner strength. And so it's believed that our Manipura chakra, which is right at that navel center, is in charge of our willpower, our self-confidence, which is indicative of a lot of that internal strength. And then also one hand is on the heart, which is that beating of the heart, that internal drive and dedication. So we're just tuning into this internal strength within, taking a few deep breaths. I invite you to go ahead and close your eyes if you feel comfortable. And just begin with some deep breaths. You can inhale in through the nose, exhale out the mouth if that feels right. Yummy, gooey breaths. I absolutely love exhaling out the mouth and just releasing anything no longer serving me, clearing the path for the new energy and new frequencies that we will invite within today's practice. So inhale deeply, exhale fully. And whenever you're ready, I invite you to go ahead and close the mouth and just begin initiating that deep yogic breath, the diaphragm breathing, where we're inhaling in deeply so completely that we're rising and falling through that belly. So just tuning into that nice, deep, slow breath. And perhaps as we take this moment of stillness and awareness, just reflect on what internal strength means to you. Is it dedication, commitment, consistency? How might it feel to show up with these elements to your yoga practice, to your wellness journey, to your day-to-day life? How can inner strength play a role for you? And when you're ready, slowly opening your eyes. If you have blocks, let's go ahead and move them over to the side here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot in my booty to my back of my heels so that my fingertips could touch the top of my heels. And we're just going to start with some dynamic bridge movement here. So we're going to inhale slowly as we roll up, our hips rise and our arms come cascading above our head. As we exhale, lowering down. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Moving at your own time, allowing your breath to really be the guiding movement here, magnetizing those legs together so you feel like they're two magnets pulling together so your knees aren't splaying open, but really drawing in And then pushing through at the top of the expression of the pose, so you really are pushing through those tops of those hips. And then staying up here for a moment, perhaps just feeling into this posture, pushing and finding a little bit more space, and then slowly rolling down vertebra by vertebra, rolling from that top of the back all the way down towards the tailbone, drawing the knees into the chest, rolling side to side for a moment here, giving yourself a nice, beautiful back massage, and then let's go ahead and rock and roll. Coming into a comfortable seat here, and what we're going to do is let's go ahead and have some just nice gentle neck rolls, rolling from one side to the other. Beautiful. Wonderful. So let's go ahead and find a tabletop position. So we're going to make sure that our fingertips are out nice and wide. Let's go ahead and extend that left foot behind us, and we can draw it across the body to have this nice twist, looking behind here, stretching that side body for a moment. And then drawing back, let's go ahead and start building that inner strength. So let's lift up that left foot, flexing the foot. And then when you're ready, go ahead and lift that right hand off the mat slightly and then extend. As we contract, pulling everything in and then pulling everything out, building that core strength. Inhale and exhale, allowing the breath to be your guide, your movement, moving at your own pace, building that internal strength. And slowly lowering it down, coming back into that tabletop position. Just wiggling it out for a moment, resetting the body, and then when you're ready, let's extend the right foot behind us, and then go ahead and cross it behind. Stretching here for a moment. Pulling those toes right back behind us, lifting them off to the sky here, flexing the foot, and then bringing the left hand off, testing that balance, finding that equilibrium, and then go ahead and pull and contract. Really engaging the core here. Allowing the breath to move and guide you. And 8, beautiful. Coming back into that tabletop position, tucking the toes, drawing up, and check it out here. This is a little bit different. Let's go ahead and rock back and forth for just a moment here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to allow our right foot to come out and pull up with that left hand. So testing the strength, testing the balance here, pulling it up and coming back, pulling it open and coming back. And maybe we're not in the full variation yet. Maybe this isn't quite where we're at. Maybe we're just opening slightly and keeping the knee close to the mat. Just testing that inner strength again, finding that level that feels right for you, being kind and compassionate, moving at your own speed, and remembering, above all else, to move with the breath. Beautiful. And coming back in. And then go ahead and rise up to downward dog. And taking 3 deep intentional breaths here, slowing everything down. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. One more time. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Go ahead and allow your gaze to go to the top of the mat, and let's go ahead and walk to the top to meet our hands, bending those knees slightly, just having a little bit of sway here, perhaps grabbing either elbow if that feels right for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and allow our left knee to bend. Right leg will stand and elongate here as we slowly float that right leg up to the sky. You can find a gentle sway here if that feels good for you. If this feels a bit too intense, you can always stay looking down to the ground. You can place your hand on the back of your lower back here, whatever feels right. And switch opposite direction, extending up, really bending in generously into that right knee. And you can always have a little micro bend of the left as well. Again, always want to be really kind and compassionate with our body. It's not about creating that perfect posture that looks good on someone else. It's about creating that perfect posture that feels good in your body. And then slowly lowering down. If this feels like enough of a stretch here for you, you can stay here. Otherwise, let's go ahead and walk onto our hands, which might feel a little weird at first, but this is actually really beautiful because we can sway back and forth, giving a little bit of a massage to our feet and our hands at the same time. Slowly, if you're in that full bounded position, releasing the hands from under your feet, bending generously, slowly rolling up. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, coming down, continuing on with that inner strength. We're going to lift our right knee up to the sky as we touch into the center of our chest. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a balancing and strength because we're pulling up at that core, engaging those muscles to pull up the leg. And then we're going to switch and we're going to march it out. Switch. Picking that drishti, that point of focus in front of you that's not moving, will help you have that balance. And really just tuning in here to pulling up. We're not using momentum for this, but rather each and every muscle is playing a role here. Pulling in with the core, pulling in with the leg muscles, flexing that foot, lots of energy out the toes. And then moving at your own pace. Building a little bit of that cardio effect, getting the heart involved, inner strength. Maybe picking up the pace if that feels right for you. Beautiful. 3 and 2 and 1. Finding stillness here. Inhale your arms up overhead, coming through heart center, coming down, cascading. We're going to do a halfway lift, bringing our hands to our shins. Lift with the flat back. Exhale, release. Stepping back. We're going to roll from a downward dog into a high plank, and we're just going to test our strength here. So we're going to really make sure that we're grounding in our elbows to our sides. If a full push-up feels a bit intense, then we can always tuck our knees. So find that variation that feels good for you. And then let's go ahead and lower down. So we're going to lower, triple, slow, time. Not touching the ground yet. Push up. Let's try it again. Lower down, triple, slow, time, push up. Shoo. Again, we can go from the knees on this. Find your own degree. Let's try it one more time. Lower down, not touching the ground yet, and rise. Feels good, right? Building that strength, building that heat. Lowering down the knees now. And what we're going to do is go ahead and walk forward, coming down onto our booty, and let's go ahead and grab one of our blocks, our pillow, our towel, whatever it may be. We're actually going to place it in between our two legs, rolling down onto our back, and then drawing up the feet, flexing the toes. And we're just going to draw the shoulder blades off the mat and squeeze the block. So I want to have my back flat to the mat so I can't put my hand through. and just curling up and breathing. So I have energy magnets pulling my legs together. I've got my shoulder blades off the mat, and we might be shaking and rolling a little bit, and that's okay. We are building strength as we go. Being mindful of the neck, finding a placement that feels right for you. And 3, 2, 1, rolling down, removing the block. And let's just take a moment here to reset. We're going to interlace the fingers behind us, and we're going to come into a reclined handstand pose. So imagine that we were going to make a handstand here, and so we can release the fingers and give a nice, beautiful expansion of the body. So flexed, and then point the toes, reset. Feels good to elongate as long as you can. And let's go ahead and draw up the feet once more, drawing those knees together. Toes goes towards the sky, and we're going to draw up the shoulder blades once more. We're going to place both hands on one side of the body. Breathing. I have magnets between my legs pulling them in together, and then I'm going to move to the other side, keeping my shoulder blades off the mat, remembering to breathe. And I like to visualize here that I have a ball of energy. So I'm taking this ball and I'm putting it over to one side and then the other. Working on those obliques, working on that core strength, building a little heat perhaps. If you need to take a break, please feel empowered to do so, but also remind yourself that the body is able, that you are strong, and anything is possible. Beautiful. 2 and 1, lowering down. And then we're going to come back into that reclined butterfly pose for a moment here, just stretching everything out. And then maybe notice the subtle differences from perhaps when you first came to class from now. Maybe a little bit more warmth, a little bit more blood flow throughout that body, and just marveling at how we can change our very physiology with these movements and postures and focus of the breath, impacting our mood, impacting our temperature, impacting our serotonin, endorphins, all of these things that are taking place. So let's go ahead and bring those feet back down onto the floor. And what we're gonna do is just rise one foot so my shin is parallel or flat with the ceiling. And then I'm gonna switch. Switch. This is just triggering in a little bit of strength of that lower abdominal. Again, just pulling in and being mindful not to allow the swinging of movement here, but rather the muscle to do the work, and we're keeping that back nice and flat. Now, if this is seeming pretty easy for you, then maybe you want to extend, coming out nice and flat. The important thing here is that our back is staying flush to the mat, engaging that core. And 3, and 2, and 1. Beautiful. Now we're just going to rock and roll here. Tucking back through, coming back into a tabletop position here. We're going to tuck the toes, rising up, and we're going to come onto our forearms here. So this is a dolphin pose. It's pretty intense in terms of the stretch here. So just find your own degree. Maybe you need to bend the knees a little bit. And the goal is to ultimately get our heels flat onto the mat. And if we feel good here, then we can definitely stay here. This is enough. Otherwise, if we want to trigger just a little bit of this arm strength, let's go ahead and float forward. Our chin is going to come over our palms and then push back. Continuing to build that strength, that heat. And 1, beautiful, pushing back. lowering down, touching our toes together, opening up our knees nice and wide, arms out front of us for an extended child's pose. A well-deserved reset. And when you're ready, slowly rolling up, tucking those toes, drawing into a downward dog. And let's go ahead and step or jump to the top of the mat, bend over, and slowly rolling up. Inhale, both arms up to the sky. Exhale, cascading down, coming through center. Inhale, halfway lift to flat back. Exhale, coming down. Stepping back with both feet coming in to a downward dog, lifting up that right foot for a moment, bringing it in. See if you can touch that right knee to that right elbow. Pressing back, bringing that knee into chest. Pressing back, and then see if you can cross it across the body. Bringing it in. Switch opposite direction, so rising that left foot off the ground, drawing that knee to elbow touch, drawing it back. And maybe this isn't quite in your practice as you bring it forward, then you can just stay in downward dog. So find your own degree. Then bringing that left knee across, pulling it back. Or maybe you're just trying a little bit, being playful, being willing to see what it feels like in the body. Coming back down into that tabletop position, drawing the knees down, and then opening up the fingers nice and wide. We're gonna go ahead and just find some soothing rolls here. So we're gonna move forward and then back. We warmed up and hit the shoulders today, the legs, the core. This is a full body strengthening. So let's just take some time to release, to loosen, switch opposite direction. Rolling through those shoulders, those hips should feel super soothing. All right, wonderful. Coming back into neutrality, walking the knees up, tucking the feet behind. And let's go ahead once more, coming down onto our back. Oh, feels so good, right? Let's take our right foot, stack it on top of our left knee, interlace, coming into reclined pigeon here. We can grab again at the hamstring or at the shin, always finding our own degree, what feels right for us. Flexing that foot, breathing deep. Sometimes I think inner strength is also knowing when to say we've had enough, knowing when we need to rest and to reset. I think that can be one of the most difficult strengths to tap into, especially as women. We want to go, 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 do all the things. So this is our reminder that there is power in just taking time for ourselves, taking time to relax, to reset. Release the legs now, crossing them over. You can cactus the arms if it feels right, and gingerly allow the legs to drape across the left side. Gaze can either stay up at the sky or twist to the opposite direction. Drawing in, switching the left now on top of that right. Inhale as we interlace, coming in perhaps at that hamstring or at the shin, whatever we feel like is calling us today. Again, as we pull in a little bit more, we might feel that little bit more of the opening of the back of the hips. So tune into the body. Generously cross those legs, allow them to float to the side of the body, and then gaze can go in the opposite direction. Drawing both knees into the chest now, perhaps creating little circles with the knees. Might feel a little bit of that core work here as we open, push out, drawing it in, switch opposite direction. And I hope from today's practice we were able to see how effective we can be with body weight, and even these slower moving postures can really help build a little bit of heat and strength within the body. The alchemy of movement, I like to call it. When you're ready, go ahead and draw everything in, drawing these legs into your chest, and start to squeeze your face, squeeze your core, squeeze everything you can, tight, tight, tight. 3, 2, 1, release. Coming into Shavasana, our final posture for today's practice, allowing the feet to roll open to the sides, drawing in those shoulder blades, chest open tall and proud, and just allow yourself to be blissful in this moment. A moment to say there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go, it's just my time to be at peace, to feel the echo of all your hard work, to feel gratitude for this beautiful body that we get to call home. And when you're ready, begin wiggling your fingers and toes, bringing sweet awareness back into your physical body. I invite you to go ahead and interlace your fingers overhead, perhaps stretching to the left and stretching to the right. When you're ready, rolling onto the side of the body, cradling your head for a sweet moment here. And slowly starting to rise. Coming into a comfortable seated position, bring your hands to heart center, begin rubbing those palms together. And taking those palms, open them out nice and wide, clasp them over yourself, give yourself a beautiful hug, and just remind yourself how strong you are, how powerful you are, how much internal wisdom resides within these beautiful arms. Giving yourself a moment of gratitude for showing up for yourself, for coming to the mat, for investing in your health and wellness journey, and for taking the steps to create magic and achieve your goals. Bringing your hands back to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me today, for bringing your beautiful energy to the mat, and we will see you next time.